Well-known author, investment banker, consumer advocate, analyst, trader. Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street.
You want answers?
Exposing the lies and myths that the big brokerage firms, the mainstream press, and the government are pushing to keep Americans away from financial freedom.
You can't handle the truth.
Bringing America the truth about what really happens in the financial world.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not here to indulge in fantasy, but in political and economic reality.
This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Well, welcome everybody. I got a bunch of phone calls this past week. People, certain financial television programs on certain financial networks out there looking to have me come on their show and give them our top stock picks, what we're doing, what sectors we think are hot at Markowski Investments and the Watchdog on Wall Street radio show. And they were very complimentary. They called her. You know, we've seen you continue to call things the right way, and you handle this entire pandemic the right way, and yeah, all that good stuff, you know, trying to stroke my ego a bit. But I declined. I declined each and every one of those invitations. I do. People ask me, how come you don't go on this program? And how come you don't go on that program? I'm not going to give them what they want. I don't do stock picks. I don't do that on air. I've been on the radio for 20 years now. Have you ever heard me give a recommendation on air? Have you ever heard me go off and talk about our performance over the past quarter, the past year? Never. Never. Why? Well, first and foremost, I'm not a trash talker. Never been a trash talker. I've always kind of kept my mouth shut, when I played sports. Just go out there and play the game. That's my belief. I kind of love Barry Sanders and other players that, just get into the end zone, hand the ball off to the referee, move on. It's just always been my kind of belief system. The other thing is that I don't run a hedge fund. I don't run a mutual fund. Each and every one of our clients is different and unique. Each and every one. Because everyone's situation is unique and different. We have portfolios that we manage for people that aren't showing much of a return at all. Why? Well, these people want basically a risk-free portfolio. Now, there's certain things that we can do with certain insurance products that we utilize to bump up those returns, but there is a thing called risk and reward. And like I said, each individual is different. Each individual has a different risk tolerance. How do I go about putting together a track record of that? It's not possible. So, the question that we do often get is, how have we managed? The years I've been involved managing money, going on decades. Every single time I think about that, I said I'm using the word decades, plural. I go back and I think, wow, I've been doing this for a long time. Kind of makes me feel old. We have dealt with some real disruptions in the financial markets, a myriad of different things. How have we managed to come out each and every time on the right side? Every single time. You get some of these wizard of smart hedge fund guys out there. Oh, wow, look at how they did during the financial crisis. Where are they now? Where are they now? How have their portfolios performed through this latest crisis? How did they perform after the financial crisis? There's a saying, a blind squirrel, will get a nut from time to time. That most certainly is the case when it comes to many money managers out there. And the media doesn't take a look at their long-term track record. They don't take a look at how they've done over a 20, 30-year period of time. Maybe they do it with guys like Buffett. Buffett's almost like a cartoon character to some degree to them. They want what's hot now, what's sexy now. What did you do over the past quarter? Who the hell cares? Who cares? Anybody out there, I got to try to put this a different way. Anybody out there over the past, the 2020, feel like this has been, it's almost been the longest and shortest year. Does that make any sense? The longest and shortest year of my life. This past year, I think I put in more hours per day than I ever have. It's been a lot of work. In some respects, it seems like it's gone by quickly. In other respects, it seems like it's gone by very, very slowly. But now we're in the middle of July. Let's go back a quarter, 2 quarters, the beginning of the year. And the reality of things, the grand scheme of things, it hasn't been very long. People not too long ago when the pandemic first hit and the media was in the process of scaring the crap out of you. Not only that, it's just the inconsistent messaging that's out there. Inconsistent. Watching Jim Cramer one day freak out, scare the crap out of people. A couple weeks later, it's not so bad. Inconsistent. Which way is the wind blowing today? Hey, many of these pundits out there, they seem like politicians to you to some degree. Yeah, me too. There's that character in the movie Wall Street, played by Hal Holbrook. His name in the movie was Lou Mannheim. And he was lecturing Bud Fox in the movie about how the steady players are the ones that make it through the bear markets, the downturns in the market. Anybody can do it in a bull market. Piece of cake. Piece of cake. But what happens when whatever's hot turns on you? And we've seen this happen again and again and again. And I go back and I like to point to certain times when the market was racing out of control. Did we underperform the NASDAQ composite in the late 1990s? Absolutely. Absolutely did we underperform. Nowhere close. I mean, performance of the NASDAQ over that period of time? Why? It was just too risky. It was too risky. We did well, but not that well. But guess what? We didn't get our buttocks handed to us like the rest of the street did. There's a right way and a wrong way of doing things. Now, many people are taking a look right now about, take a look at what tech stocks are doing. And tech, you get these guys on, tech is the only way to go, and tech is the future, and tech, or whatever it may be at any point in time. Any point in time, any type of hot market out there, this is the way it's going to be, and you've got to be all in on this. Do you think that anybody out there has the capacity to predict the market and to time what's going on with these things? No way. No way. You want to know why? You know, it's kind of interesting. The average, I find this statistic fascinating. Most people don't realize the average investor in stock funds made 3.8% a year over the past 30 years. You know what? For lack of a better phrase, that sucks. That's only a third of the S&P's average gain over that period. 3.8%. You want to know why? Because people buy high and they sell low again and again and again. Why? Because they listen to the idiots on TV or some moronic advisor or schlock broker out there that doesn't make tough decisions, that doesn't tell you no. When we have clients come in and they may get all excited about a certain sector, a certain thing that's coming on, and hey, we'd like you to, maybe you should do this in our portfolio and that portfolio. If I don't agree with it, I'm going to tell you, no, that's stupid. And this is why. That's an advisor that actually gives a damn about you and your portfolio. The easy thing to do is just to do what you want me to do, right? Why? Hey, what difference? It's not, hey, and you screw up and you get it wrong. It's not my fault. I don't have to make any waves. I don't have to cause any friction between myself and my clients. I'll just do what they want to do. And then they lose. Do you understand? There's a professor that I followed in his studies over the years. And he basically, that's his point, he studies investor behavior. Investors continually buy and sell stocks at the wrong times. Investors sell stocks that are undervalued and poised to rise, and purchase stocks that do worse than the ones that they sold. The reality is that most investors and most schlock brokers out there did worse than if they were throwing darts at a board. We're going to take a quick break here. All right, you know what? We're going to get into some financial planning stuff today. I'm in that mood. Watchdog on wallstreet.com. That's our website. Get there. Take advantage of everything that we have at that site, whether it be our newsletter. And I know it's late. I've been busy. All right? I've been very, very busy. I'll get that out. Free consultations with our certified financial planners, account repair kits, insurance help kits, college planning kits, all sorts of great stuff at our site, watchdogonwallstreet.com, or give us a call, 800-471-5984. That's 800-471-5984. We'll be back.
Robbing on a bank in the state of Indiana. She's a runner, rebel, and a stunner. Give me a little bit of volume on this.
Bringing America financial freedom one listener at a time. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
One of the first actual tidbits, things we started helping individual investors out when we were building up Markowski Investments decades ago was we went out of our way to go out and help people that were victimized by the Jordan Belforts, the Wolf on Wall Street types, the penny stock firms out there. There was many of them. They were all over Florida. They were all over New York, and a lot of people lost a lot of money. So what we did, and we still have it available, is we have an account repair program. Yeah, that was one of the things that we started with. This is before I had a radio show. We would call people up that had accounts at those firms, and don't ask me how we got that list, but we did. We'd call these people up that had accounts at those firms, and we would tell them, we know you're going to lose money. We know that you're probably already losing money, and we're going to help you rebuild your account repair program. And again, we would demonstrate and show people, they're down X amount of percent, what we could do to build their account back. Anyone want to guess how successful we were with that as far as a percentage is concerned? I'd say maybe, thinking back at it, maybe, it was definitely less than 10%, maybe about 8 to 10% overall. You want to know why? People didn't want to accept the fact that they were wrong. They thought that they could trade their way back to profitability. If they had $100,000 and it was $50,000, they wanted their $50,000 back, and they wanted it back right away. They wanted it back right then and there. And we had the difficult task of trying to explain to them that in order for them to get their $50,000 back to $100,000, they'd have to see 100% return. And if you're going to take on that type of risk where you're going to try to show yourself a 100% return, do you realize that you can lose everything they have? But many of them didn't care. They didn't care. They thought that it was easy to make their money back, just as easy as it was for them to lose that money. One of the things that we can't do, and again, we've been getting quite a lot of phone calls from the day traders of the world out there, and we answer them. We do. And many of these accounts are very, very small. They're very small. A lot of millennials out there and whatnot that just put everything, and then they're losing it. How do I get my money back? What? Work, time, and effort is how you're going to get your money back. That's how. Hey, you think I've got some sort of magic elixir here? Do you think that I go on to my account? Do you think I spend any time over the course of the day looking at my personal finances and trying to time the markets, try to trade it? Do you have any idea how much more experience I have than you have, or David Portnoy, or anybody else? I don't do it. What I can tell you, though, and I've told you this again and again and again, you take a look at how the markets have come back and how they performed. Does that make me more cautious? Yep. It does. It does. I have oftentimes here on the program utilized a character that I was still fond of. What was his name? His name was Pat Morita. He is the late Pat Morita. He played Mr. Miyagi in The Karate Kid, the original one, back from the 1980s. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, that the YouTube, I think it's moving over to Netflix. They brought back the characters like Johnny and the whole thing. It's like a television series of Karate Kid with all the original characters. It's good. But anyway, Mr. Miyagi is explaining, and I think it's a great way of demonstrating, is demonstrating to his student, Daniel's son, there, how to take care of a bonsai tree. And he tells Daniel to cut here, snip there. Basically training the tree to do what he envisions. But even before that, now that I come to think of it, how he tells Daniel to close his eyes and block everything out, picture tree. What do you envision? Understand that's what we do. It's the same delicate, continual touch. Trimming positions when they get oversized, reallocating assets as needed. Hey, one kid there said, boy, oh boy, I bet you wish you put all your money into this company or all your money into this company. What? Do you actually think I have that type of thought process? Monday morning quarterback. Man, if I'd only take every single dollar and the millions, all the money that we manage and just dumped it into one side. Are you out of your mind? I don't think like that. How can one think like that? The behavior that individuals engage in. Well, again, they make mistake after mistake after mistake. When markets are running up, they gobble, gobble, gobble. When markets go down, they sell, sell, sell. Got to take a break. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. We'll be back.
Taking Wall Street's liars, crooks, and cheats out behind the woodshed. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Another line I steal from Mr. Miyagi, we often use here on the program, is no such thing bad student, only bad teacher. It was about 15 years ago, I was I try to simplify things. I try to be a good teacher. I'm constantly trying to refine and work at what I do here. And I listen, I know I fail often. You know how I know I fail often? I'll get phone calls or emails or inquiries, and people say, I've been listening to your program for years. Listen to your program for years, and now they decide to call me after they've lost a fortune or after they did things that I tried to explain here on the program not to do. I try. I'm doing the best I can. And, you know, we've been on the air for 20 years now. We have. Maybe I should have done something differently to get it on certain markets that I would not, never, I can't sell out. I won't do certain things. I'm trying to do the best I can, week in, week out, to try to simplify things. Simplify these concepts. And it was about 15 years ago, I put out the little rules of the road, simple rules that anyone could adhere to in order to be successful. And the rules were, compounding. Again, we talk about that all the time. Compounding the royal road to riches. Play with a compounding calculator and you'll see. Rule number 2. And I'm not trying to talk down to people with these rules, but they make sense. Just don't lose money. Rule 3, invest like a multi-millionaire. And of course, number 4, buy stuff on sale. Buy high quality assets on sale. I like simple rules and regulations. I mean, honestly, we could just use the 10 Commandments and we could get by as a society just fine. Could we not? I believe in rules that should be written in black and white. But I look back 15 years at what I did. Maybe I was being too simplistic. Maybe I was. Yeah, I wrote about this, and the old saying that successful investing is like getting oneself in great shape. It's simple, just not easy. So a couple of years ago, I looked to expand on those 4 rules. And in this, I want to explain to everybody out here our process for success. And one of the things is first of all, it's not important to be right in the here and now, but right eventually. What conventional wisdom says, and again, conventional wisdom to us is poison. What conventional wisdom says is the greatest investment or idea today is more often than not a lousy investment or idea. Markets are not efficient over the short term. Many of the major calls that we have made over the years in regards to the market conditions, overall economy, and in regards to certain companies out there, were quite contrarian at the time, but were proven true over time. So part of our process, a necessary attribute, something you have to be as an investor, is patient. You must be patient. You know what? Before I get my next trade, I'm taking a look at the clock right now. I don't want to get caught short. We're going to get back. We're going to talk a little bit about courage. Yeah. Need to have a little bit of courage. Don't go anywhere. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com is our site. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. Again, our newsletter, consultations with our certified financial planners. That's important. And I'd like to remind everybody, no, you don't need to have $1 million in investable assets. You don't need to have $10 million. You don't need to have $500,000. You don't need to have $250,000. We help everyone. That's always been our mission here. We will help everyone. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com or give us a call, 800-471-5984. That number again, 800-471-5984. We'll be back.
This melancholy soundtrack to her smile.
This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Welcome back, everybody. It is the Watchdog on Wall Street show, the place we take the liars, the crooks, the cheats out behind the woodshed, give them a bit of a beat down. Yeah, courage. Guess what? Sometimes things are not going to go your way, or they're appearing not to go your way. And guess what? You need to stand in the face of the chattering classes and the pundits. Hey, what just happened this year, huh? What happened? Did you sell everything? Did you sell out of everything? What about 2008, 2009? Did you sell everything? Did you act out of fear? Did you act out of fear? Did you make poor choices? You need to have courageous thought, which involves consideration of all the facts. You need to keep emotion out of the decision-making process. If you don't think that I fully understand that human beings are not hardwired to be good investors, they're not. They're not. Whether it be the fight or flight response, people buying high and selling low, because what? Emotions take over much too easily in human beings. You need to understand that when you're buying into something, buying into a stock, it's not a video game. Okay? You're not playing a video game. It's not electronic blips on a screen. Now, I get it. I understand the volatility, the way things move. You got the high frequency traders out there and the other charlatans that are trying to move markets quickly. Stock is an underlying share ownership in a company. The price of the stock and the overall value of a company can be evaluated based upon the money the company makes, what industry, and what the expectations are for the future. That's how you do it. when it comes to managing risk in one's portfolio. It's important to understand that it is justifiable to love risk as long as the risk does not lead to ruin. Does that make sense? Wise man told me, in a strategy that entails ruin, benefits never offset risks of ruin. Rationality is an avoidance of systemic ruin. How many times here on the program where I've talked about the term, the phrase, whatever, financial plan? How? How does one plan for decades of uncertainty? How do you do that? We'll put together a plan. You are you? There's that old saying. It's a great saying. You want to make God laugh? Tell him your plans. How does one really know when it's time to call it quits, when you want to retire? Time to change careers. How about start a new business? Find their spouse. How? You can't. And we know that. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com, WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. We shall return.
Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street. The only man who is taking on the Wall Street establishment. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
Am I making sense here, people? Yeah, you got all these financial plan, this plan, that plan. Really? Decades and decades of uncertainty. So what we rather think of what we do. It's a process. It's a process for us. It's a process for our clients. And that process is being able to adapt to the unknowable terrain of life. Things that are unexpected. Ever watch any of this television shows and how they go about training Green Berets, Army Rangers, Navy SEALs? They throw things at them, unexpected things at them. How do you go about dealing with this? For decades. 2 decades here on the radio show, even longer for Markowski Investments. We've warned everybody. We try to alert everybody as best we can regarding that poison out there that is conventional wisdom. It's not, I don't even address it just here on the program in terms of economics and finance. It's everywhere. You need to understand. You need to be able to recognize. Again, it's a talent. It's something you learn. You get better at it the longer you do it. I talk about it here on the program. I pick up a news story. I can spot the narrative. I can spot the BS almost instantaneously. Recognizing these narratives, these self-destructive strategies that are being pushed upon you. We've talked again and again and again and tried to explain our watchdog on Wall Street, axis of evil, big business, politicians, the media. You need to understand that's real. Okay? It's not a boogeyman. It's real. We take great pride here on the program in recognizing and exposing narratives, hidden agendas. And if you've followed with us over the years, if you've been a client of ours over the years, you would have known this. And you would have been protected. I've talked about my love of sports, and in particular, I am a bit of a lacrosse junkie. And I started a program, talked about sport, in Southwest Florida. This is back in 2002 when I used to live there. And the sport was pretty foreign to Southwest Florida at that point in time. And we got a group of kids, and we'd go up, and we play teams in areas of the state that had been around for a long, long time. And you know what? We would get whopped, get shellacked. After one day, there was a five loss day. That's right. 5 games a day. Lost every single one of them. This was our first year. I told the kids, and I most certainly told all of the skeptical parents out there, made them a promise. So if you just do what we tell you to do in regards, you follow our process, what we're doing, you focus on the fundamentals, you practice after practice, you embrace the fact that everything in life that has meaning, value, and worth involves work, time, and effort. And I said within 2 years, nobody will beat us. Nobody will beat us. The funny thing is, I came to mind, I've told this story before. I had an article sent to me, from a newspaper article about our team. The 1 year, we went, every game we played, it was like, I don't know, some 20 some odd games, undefeated. I think maybe we let up 8 goals in the entire year. I can't tell you how many we scored. Kids listened. We focused on the fundamentals, catching, throwing, shooting, all the things that we needed to do. You know, all my kids are playing, all the kids in that program, you know what they're playing now? They're playing in college, or they're going on to play D1. Or if they decided they want to play college sports, they're on to great things. I've used this line from the television show, Friday Night Lights. There's a head coach, Eric Taylor. And he's got this line. He used to share this with his players. I wish I thought of it. It's beautiful, if you actually think about it. Beautiful. And its truth and its simplicity. Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. Like, Markowski, what are you talking about all this sports stuff? It's all connected, people. It's all the same. You get it? It's all the same. If you can see the world, if you can see the terrain, if you can see the obstacles for what they are, not what you wish they are, or what somebody is telling you that they are, if you go out and you accept the challenges, you embrace these challenges wholeheartedly, guess what? You can't lose. Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. This process, and again, I don't want to think that I'm not a machine, okay? I'm human too. I have to think back. At times I have to refocus and work on the fundamentals. What we're laying out here, people, is applicable to everything in life. Everything. If you follow it, you'll succeed. You can't lose. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. Become a part of our family. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. We'll be back.
You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street. Well-known author, investment banker, consumer advocate, analyst, trader. Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street.
You want answers?
Exposing the lies and myths that the big brokerage firms, the mainstream press, and the government are pushing to keep Americans away from financial freedom.
You can't handle the truth.
Bringing America the truth about what really happens in the financial world.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not here to indulge in fantasy, but in political and economic reality.
This is the watchdog on Wall Street.
Basically what we're doing today, guys, we're focusing on the fundamentals. The fundamentals, because, again, you can never stop focusing on the fundamentals. And I know I'm using a lot of sports stuff here today. It's applicable to music, guitar players working on their chords. Larry Bird, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, working on layups. The fundamentals. I've shared this before. One of my favorite risk management, I could call him a risk management experts, and I'd say he's a pretty good philosopher. And I share a lot of the same ideas that he has. I wish I could be as epigrammatic as he. I'm going to share with you a list that he made. No muscles without strength. No friendship without trust. No opinion without consequence. No age without values. No life without effort. No water without thirst. No food without nourishment. No love without sacrifice. No power without fairness. No facts without rigor. No statistics without logic. No mathematics without proof. No teaching without experience. No politeness without warmth. No values without embodiment. No militarism without fortitude. No progress without civilization. No friendship without investment. No virtue without risk. No probability without ergosity. No wealth without exposure. No complication without depth. No fluency without content. No decision without asymmetry. No science without skepticism. No religion without tolerance. An important one, too, he mentions in his book, is in nothing without skin in the game. And that's a whole nother different topic. But I think it's important. I mentioned that list today. We focus on the fundamentals. Because I want to address again, I know we've talked about this on the program a lot, and there's a lot of back and forth right now when it comes to schools and what's taking place and whether or not kids should go back to school and whether or not more money should be thrown at schools. Hey, it's out of Los Angeles. Did you see the wish list that the Los Angeles Teachers Union, what they're asking for, their demands for reopening the schools? Their demands. They're making demands. It's like they're holding the kids in their district hostage. You see, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care if I was back in the days when I was a waiter, a bartender, a janitor, and I had little to no money. If I had a child, I'd move. I would never allow my kid to attend a school with teachers like this, with a union that represents them like that. I'd move. And I think a lot of people are moving. They are. They're changing their mind, deciding to go to a different place, getting out. We'll talk about real estate a little bit here. Like I said, I've had countless jobs in my life. I have. And one of the questions that I'm getting a lot of from listeners is, what do I do with my kid? The university, they don't want my kid to go back to school. They want them to do online. They want distance learning. Again, I'm giving you my opinion. If your kid is not on campus and taking classes within a classroom setting, what are you doing spending the money? What are you doing? Well, I don't know. I want my kid to graduate on time. Well, they can still graduate on time. They can take some summer classes. Take the semester off. This is the advice I'm giving. Take it off. Call up the school. My kid is going to take the semester off and get a job. You know what my suggestion is? And I know it might be hard to come by depending upon where you live in the country. Get a service job. Get a job in a restaurant. Do you understand that there's skills that you're going to learn working in a restaurant that you're not going to get elsewhere? You get certain types of skills that there's not a single college professor out there that can teach you. A type of discipline. The ability to absorb criticism. The ability to read people. Yeah. I'm telling you right now. You're going to thank me. Your kids are going to thank me. You get down the road, you're going to send me an email. Chris, I was skeptical, but not having my kid do the distance learning and have him take the semester off and get a job. Have your kid get a job. Are you kidding me? That's the experience you want your kid to have? Only freshmen are on campus, and they're only there, and they can only go to class at this certain time. Are you out of your mind? Do you understand you're being ripped off? Do you think that these people are stupid? Kids, college kids and high school kids have been hanging out and partying together since the beginning of May. They've been over it for a long time. They're just testing you to see what they can get away with down the road. That's all. You don't have to subscribe to this stuff. It's nonsense. Schools need to be open. And I'm sick and tired. I need to feel safe. Well, go find yourself another job, bubble boy. You want to live in a bubble? You go ahead and live in a bubble. But obviously, you can't read the numbers. And if you're so smart, Mr. or Mrs. School Teacher, how can you not read the numbers and understand the risk that's involved? There's a risk when you get out of bed in the morning. That's the reality. Oh, no, I'm not going to feel safe. Well, then don't send your kid to school. Yeah, the funny thing is the shutdown crowd, they're the loud and noisy ones. They're the loud and noisy ones out there. How do you put my kid? You're going to put my kid at risk. And look at the argument. Oh, my God. You know what? If you're worried about your kid being at risk, homeschool your kid. Keep your kid at home. Yeah. If you want your kid to stay at home and the school teacher, you want to put webcams up in every single classroom and stream the classes for the parents out there that are afraid to send their kid to school, so be it. Problem solved. What is it with so many leaders out there today? There's no wisdom of Solomon out there. Right? Simple. Problem solved. You know how much a damn webcam costs? $100? $100. Really? We can't figure that out? We can't put a camera in every classroom for all the parents out there, all the helicopter parents that are afraid to send their kids to school? Or maybe, hey, being fair, maybe your kid has an underlying health problem and should stay home. Okay. But have you taken a look at the numbers? We're the United States of America. The rest of the globe is sending their kids back to school. What are we doing? Well, I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be distance learning. Everybody's going to do it from home now. It's insane. It really is. It's insane. Anyway, how to get that off my chest. You know what? We'll take a quick break here. Take a quick break. I've got a lot we got to go over today on the program. And we're going to do some social stuff today here on the show, too. I know we worked on the fundamentals, financial planning. Going to go here, there, and everywhere. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com is our site. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. Again, take advantage. Everything we have, newsletters, consultations with our certified financial planners. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
You should believe in math, not magic. You're listening to The Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
Again, I like to remind everybody that we are we don't pull punches here on the program. I'm not Mary Poppins. There's no spoonful of sugar to make the medicine go down. I'm going to tell you like it is. I don't care if it makes you feel unsafe. I don't care if it's going to get you upset. I don't care. Do you understand? I don't care if you change the channel. I don't give a damn. Okay? I'm not going to cater or I'm going to sugarcoat things and not tell you the truth because it's going to make me more popular on Twitter. You want some realities? I'll give you some realities. Because, again, what you're being told, the conventional wisdom out there. We need more money for schools. Need to give more money to Title I schools. It's a crock. It's a lie. Here's some numbers. I had these emailed to me, and I went through and we checked them out. 90% of homeless and runaway children were raised in fatherless homes. 71% of pregnant teens were raised in fatherless homes. 63% of youth suicides were raised in fatherless homes. 71% of high school dropouts come from fatherless homes. 70% of juveniles in state-operated facilities have no father. Fatherless children are twice as likely to go to jail, have psychiatric disease, abuse alcohol, 4 times as likely to abuse drugs. Yeah. I mentioned I listened to Limbaugh's program here in the program, and we're critical of him from time to time, even though I think he runs an absolutely phenomenal show. Another program I listen to, I don't care. I tell you, I'm unlike the other guys out there. I listen to Michael Savage's podcast from time to time. Michael Savage and I used to be on the same syndicator way back in the day, and I used to actually substitute for him from time to time, which was let's just say he's got a bit of a volatile personality. But I never got the hook. I never got the gong. So I did a good job, and he was obviously happy with it. But he was talking about this today, and he was talking about this idea of systemic racism and privilege here. And he was trying to narrow it down, but he didn't go far enough. We have. See those statistics that I gave you? We've talked about this how long on the program? You know what the privilege is here in the United States? Parental privilege. That's what it is. Yes, it's parental privilege. Statistically speaking, you grow up in a household with both parents, and you graduate from high school. Statistically speaking, you are going to succeed. That's the reality, people. It is what it is. I want to touch on some of the things that the environment that we're in this country right now, and how it saddens me to some degree. I was reminded of a phenomenal film that was done. I think it was probably 1985, in and around that point in time. And I don't know if you've seen it, but if you haven't, you need to watch it. It's not an easy watch, okay? It's one of those movies that it's difficult to watch again, but is just plain awesome. And I'm actually going to go back and I'm going to try to watch it again this weekend. The Killing Fields. The Killing Fields, about the Khmer Rouge, what happened in Cambodia. I was thinking about it this past week. We've got clients all over the country, people that have come to this country from all over the world. We take a look and we complain about our lives here in America and the situation here in America. People don't have a clue to what other people, what their neighbors may have gone through as children. Yeah, I've got clients that lived through that. I have. They're surgeons now. They're surgeons now. I remember, saying back in the day, I'm going back to when I was waiting tables and bartending, doing catering, and I remember this vividly. I have those little pockets, those little memory pockets that pop in your head. Standing at a fancy Christmas party that the restaurant I was working at was holding for some company, and looking around and seeing the people having a great time. All colors, races, didn't matter. But I remember thinking to myself at the time, the beauty of it and how blessed we are in this country. What an amazing country we live in. Up the street from my apartment, my first apartment at New York City, all on the same block, a mosque, a synagogue, and a church. What an amazing country. What happened, people? What happened? Huh? What happened? I think it might have a lot to do with the education system here in the United States. I do believe that. We don't have, take a look at who we try to recruit, even in high schools. High schools, elementary schools, middle schools. Yeah, we want people with education degrees. I don't know. Why do we have to have people with education degrees? How difficult is it? Really? Who would you rather have in a classroom teaching your kid chemistry? A chemist? Or somebody got their education degree that's teaching chemistry? Who would you rather have teaching your kid? Who's going to do a better job? Who understands it to a greater degree? Now, I get it. Not everybody, if they're all knowing, is a very good teacher. I understand that. But the garbage we've been shoving down the throats into the minds of our kids for a long time, it's having its effect. And I've talked about this here on the program, and I'm doing it again, and I probably do it again and again and again, because it's something that we need to get our arms around at this point in time. You can't let your kids go off to college by themselves. You can't just drop them off their freshman year and say, okay, have a good time. I'm going to pay the bill. You send a care package from time to time and wait for Johnny or Sally to come home at Thanksgiving. You need to pay attention to see what they're studying, what they're doing. They need you in school then at that point in time more than they do when they were younger. It's just the reality of the situation. Many of these universities, I've said this before here on the program, have turned into cults, indoctrination centers. Would you send your kid off to a cult? So don't check out. Don't. Make sure you know. Again, this is part of financial planning. We do a lot of college planning stuff. Make sure your kid gives you a reason why they're going to school. What do they want to study? What do they want to become? Not, I got to find myself. Anyway, as I get off the beat track. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. You think I'm passionate about this stuff? You think I'm passionate about kids? Yeah, I am. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. We'll be back.
Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street. Bringing America financial freedom one listener at a time. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
Welcome back, everybody. It is the Watchdog on Wall Street show. Always honored to have you tuned into the program. Yeah, we're pretty obstinate. We're pretty stubborn here on the we have our way of doing things. We do. We always have. And again, I kind of we've made mistakes over the years, and we've learned from those mistakes. We have. But one of the mistakes that we made, I'm going to tell you quickly here, is when we first started Markowski Investments up, we had a fancy office. It wasn't fancy. Having crazy art. We had a nice office. And we thought we needed it. And we came to the realization, it's like, we don't need this space. We're going to see clients. We're going to hear, what the hell is the point behind this? Why are we wasting money on this? Isn't our funds to be diverted better in a different way? Hey, we're not attracting the type of clientele by any stretch of the imagination that's impressed by the fancy tchotchkes and the ugly corporate art on the wall. If you're impressed by all of that stuff, no, you're not going to want to work with us. You're not. We don't do that. We don't do that. We're just interested in outperforming, doing the right thing by our clients and keeping our costs down, and then in turn keeping our clients' fees down, which we're able to do. Kind of cutting edge the way we've been doing stuff over the years. But anyway, I saw this story and I got a kick out of it. You got tech companies now. Tech companies right now that are not re-upping their leases. They're not re-upping their leases. They're having many of their workers just work from home now. And I said, wow, that's pretty cutting edge. We at Markowski Investments, we figured that out in the late 1990s. There's a certain reality, people, when it comes to real estate, because people oftentimes ask us about real estate and whether or not they should buy this house or that house, or what I think of the real estate market. They do their bit on CNBC where they have their real estate report. What's her name? Diana Olnick or something like that. And they talk in terms of the country, which is patently absurd. It's patently absurd. Who in their right mind wants to move to New York City right now? Huh? Who in their right mind wants to move to New York City? There is a mass exodus out of New York City. There has been a mass exodus out of many states in the Northeast and Midwest. I saw the story this past week. There's a 3-week wait for U-Hauls in the state of Illinois, one way out of the state. 3 weeks before you can get yourself a U-Haul. That's how many people are leaving. I can see the numbers. We told you what was going to happen. Even before the entire pandemic, I told you that real estate in certain urban areas was going to collapse. Businesses are not renting out as much space. Commercial space is going to be turned into residential space. It's going to put more inventory on the market. Supply and demand matters. And again, this holds true. And, again, people will take this and they'll say to themselves, well, then I should just go and buy down in Florida. What? Do you understand how Florida works? Do you understand that Florida is pretty empty in the middle of the state? In fact, if you just go east or west of the interstates on either side, there's nothing but land. And they keep building and building and building and building. And again, it's something we've tried to explain to people. Supply and demand matters. Now, again, if you're right on the water, guess what? Really, not much waterfront. You can't find more waterfront property, can you? That's a different story. But people, you need to recognize this, and you also need to make this a part of your entire financial plan and understanding what your residence is. For a long time, we try to explain to people not to treat your house, your residence, as an investment. It's a bill. That's what it is. It is a bill. You have to live somewhere. Now, granted, you want to down the road when it's time for you to move, whatever it may be, you hope that you can sell that house for more that you bought it for. But then again, people fail to realize, how much money did I put into that house over the years? How much did it cost me in upkeep? How much did I pay in interest? How much did I pay in taxes? The reality is you're not making anything more often than not. Unless you happen to hit a bubble, unless you happen to have got low, and then that area, for some reason, there's some bubble like they had back in 2006 into 2007, where you got certain areas of the country where it just explodes, and then you get out. But you got to hit it perfectly. Other than that, don't look at it as an investment. It's an installment plan purchase. It's a luxury. When I do something to my home, my residence, or I put something in, or I add something, or I make something better, I don't look at it as, oh boy, it's gonna pay off down the road. It's not. It's not. Yes, there are changes. There's movements here. Okay? You need to understand these things. You need to encompass real estate as your part of your financial plan, but how you encompass it is what's important. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com, WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. We'll be back.
Taking Wall Street's liars, crooks, and cheats out behind the woodshed. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Yeah, sure. Welcome back, everybody. It is the one, the only, the Watchdog on Wall Street show. One of the bigger stories of the week when it comes to the media was the Bari Weiss resignation from the New York Times and the letter that she wrote to the paper that got out. It was covered. I mean, I haven't heard about it. I think you've been living underneath a rock to some degree. It was covered everywhere. And if you haven't had the chance to read the letter, I highly suggest it. I'm not going to read it here on the program today. It's going to take way too long. Just go out there, do a search, Bari Weiss letter. It'll come up. It'll come up. I'm reading it this past week, if you might take. And I'm thinking to myself that Bari Weiss should get the Master of the Obvious award. What she said and what she talked about in regards to the New York Times, along with all these other, papers and whatever you want to call them, places where they're supposed to practice journalism, where they don't. It's obvious. It's as plain as day. In her letter, she talks about how Twitter writes the paper. Twitter is not on the masthead, but Twitter basically writes the paper. The newspaper crafts and changes It's various different narratives that it's pushing out there based upon what people are saying on Twitter. I mentioned this on my podcast this past week. If I happen to come upon Aladdin's lamp and the original Aladdin pops out, yes, the Robin Williams voice one comes out, and I have 3 wishes, I'm telling you, one of my wishes is most certainly going to be eliminate social media. Eliminate it. It has been horrible for our society. It's been horrible. Look at what it's done. Look at the way people treat one another. It's horrific. It truly is. Anyway, got to take a break. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Again, our newsletter, consultations with our certified financial planners. All sorts of great stuff at the site. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. We'll be back.
You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street. This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Welcome back, everybody. You know, I have to. Yeah, it is unfortunate. Again, you know, people don't do a lot of homework in regards to people that they see on TV or they're listening to, whatever it may be. And I get this question from time to time, and it's regarding a media darling and entrepreneur, Mark Cuban. Why is Mark Cuban on all these? Why listen to Mark Cuban? Here's Shark Tank, all this. Listen, okay. You know how Mark Cuban got all of his money? He didn't do it illegally. Didn't break any laws. He had a company called Broadcast.com. Broadcast.com. The company didn't make a dime. It wasn't ever going to make any money. Like many other companies out there that we make fun of here on the program, many unicorn companies. But this was back in the late 1990s. Late 1990s, again, what was happening in the late 1990s? All you needed. Again, this is something, when I talk about this, people, they're like, well, Chris, why didn't you do it? Because I can't. In the sense that I couldn't do something like this. Mark Cuban didn't break any laws, but I kind of grew up and at a certain moral set, and again, it follows me to follow certain ethics throughout my life. I couldn't do it. I couldn't knowingly take public a company that I knew was just garbage. Couldn't do it. Many people, they don't care. It's not like they're not doing anything. Listen, I call it a game. It's a perverse game of musical chairs. I think the original name of Cuban's company was AudioNet, and they renamed it to Broadcast.com. And they took it public. Again, late 1990s, .com attached. The stock was up 250% on its first day of trading. And this is back in the 1990s. If it was today, it would have been laddered up much to a much bigger valuation before it went public. After the IPO, the company was worth over $1 billion. Mark Cuban was worth $300 million. 9 months after the IPO, 9 months, Yahoo, that's right. Yahoo was one of the dumbest companies in the history of the planet. Yahoo bought Broadcast.com for $5.7 billion in stock. I looked this up. At the time when Broadcast.com went public, they had 570,000 users. So basically, Yahoo bought Broadcast.com for $10,000 per user. What did Cuban do? Cuban was smart. You know what he did? He sold all of his Yahoo stock. Sold it all. $1 billion. Hey, after he got that $1 billion, he started buying good businesses. He sold a bad one. He created and sold a bad one because he knew it was garbage. And then he started buying good ones. That's how he did it. Now, yeah, we watched this happen again and again and again. There are idiots out there that will buy bad companies. We've made fun of unicorns here on the program for how long? How bad are we making fun of WeWork? WeWork. How much money did that guy make? That company was never going to make any money the way it was structured, how it was done. Who cares? Certain people, they don't care. To them, is just if they can get somebody else to buy it, man, I'm done with it. It's like a ticking time bomb. Eventually, the thing is going to blow up. Anyway, again, I try to make things as clear as possible on how some of this stuff works. I'm the type of person, again, it's my Adam Smith. I have to explain. Adam Smith capitalism to me is two people conducting a transaction and both walking away happy. And I mean happy is you want a successful transaction for the long run. Not looking at, oh boy, I got out. I got out. Boy, oh boy. I don't believe it's getting over on someone. And do I think that Mark Cuban and his partners knew that they were getting over on people? Yeah. Yeah, I do. I do. I just can't do that. Anyway, there's a story out of New Hampshire and Merrill Lynch. And these clients of Merrill Lynch actually suing for $200 million in damages. This got my attention. These guys trusted Merrill Lynch. These are successful business owners. Trusted Merrill Lynch to manage their money, and quite a fortune they had. The people, I think that they developed Cabletron. Remember Cabletron? So they made a fortune there, and they trusted Merrill Lynch to handle their finances. You know what Merrill Lynch did? Not only did they lose their money, but they churned the accounts to the tune of over $50 million plus in commissions. You could give that sizable money. You could give it to a student, a business school student, and they would do a better job. And the funny thing is, Merrill Lynch allowed it to happen. Of course they did. $50 million in commissions. A lot of bonuses, a lot of managers making money off that. You got an account at a big brokerage firm? Well, guess what? You're not too bright. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. We'll be back.
Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street.